Again, welcome. Good morning and good afternoon. We're excited to have your participation in today's strategy huddle. We're going to get this started. My name is Ryan, and I'm an account manager, product manager here for MyStrategicPlan. And the purpose of this call, the strategy huddle, is to talk strategy, to talk execution, and to address some real-world questions and provide some actionable solutions. We're just going to set some quick ground rules. The presentation is targeted for 45 to 60 minutes, and we definitely encourage your participation. So if you identify yourself with a question or a topic, by all means, you can either raise your hand and we'll open the phone to you, or you can chat in the chat box off on the right-hand side, and we can read what you've written there. So those are two options. We will be emailing a copy of this presentation with a link to the recording of the video by the end of the week. And it's important just to note that this is not a rehearsed presentation, so we always appreciate a little patience if we run into a glitch here. Before we hand this off, I'm excited to introduce today's strategy huddle leader, and that's going to be Howard Olson. Howard is the co-founder of M3 Planning, which is the parent company of MyStrategicPlan, and really the brains behind the intellectual property of the system of MyStrategicPlan. He's the president of M3 Planning and also has a PhD in marketing with the emphasis on research. A lot of our work on the strategy side and the research side of the business is driven by his direction. Howard is also involved in the MyStrategicPlan day-to-day, but he's on the road a considerable amount of the time facilitating and working with our customers. We typically like to have a second strategy leader joining us on these calls, but they're all out working with various customers today. So we're going to rely on Howard, and he's up to the task. We have a great topic in store, so I know he's excited to get this started. So with that said, I'll turn the call over to Howard, and we'll move forward.
Good morning, all. Excited is we're talking about the basic stuff that really drives so much of what we do, and I think we kind of jump over this part. So that was the reason that I wanted to loop this back in. So what is strategy? We're going to revisit that, and I'll explain why, and we've got a stat of the month. And then we get a number of different questions about, different types of strategies and how it affects the organization where it's at. So that'll be, we're talking the types and levels of it. And then so much of the time is, we got a strategy to talk about it. Let's see it in the plan. So we want to make sure that we have this checklist to make sure that we see it in plan, how we articulate it. And then we surely would like to have other folks provide comments, thoughts, because this is not just about me reiterating things that I know. There's a wealth of information out there. We sure love to hear from you. So with that, the stat of the month really does fit into very well what we're talking about here. Just to quickly read it, it says 49% of executives say their companies have no list of strategic priorities. So too many companies grab too hastily for what seems like the next answer to their growth. So strategic priorities, what are they and where do they come from, and how does this fit into what we're doing? So the strategic priorities kind of are the attachment to the organization from the corporate level. What are we trying to do? Where are we going, and so forth. And if we have too many priorities or themes, whatever you might want to call them, then this proliferates our plan, and it ends up being just really, really too big. We get to something cumbersome, something we can't manage, and so many of the people then are really frustrated with what we end up with. So companies say they don't have them. That's 49%. But then the flip side, if we narrow them down and we do have a handful that really do understand, that's another part of this stat that says that the fewer strategy priorities is better, and executives whose companies have very few, maybe about 3 or 4 firm-wide strategies, we're most likely to say their companies have above average profitability and revenue growth, and that's because of the focus, and that's what strategy brings to us. So we can have too many priorities, too many themes, and if we can't have the focus, and that does cause a problem. So it's important to get that appropriate balance. So we'll talk about this particular thought as we dig through here. So let's kind of revisit what is strategy and difference between strategy and tactics. And we always go back in our organization to Michael Porter, guru strategy, professor at Harvard, lectures around the world. He definitely is a main thinker on this. In strategy, strategy is about the fact that we all have limited resources. We forget that. We have limited resources, and we're all dealing with an extremely competitive landscape, and it's getting more and more competitive as we go along. So strategy is really important to make sure that we embrace. And Porter's point is well taken because we forget about this. Competitive strategy is about being different. Differentiation, uniqueness, set us apart. It means deliberately choosing a different set of activities to deliver a unique mix of value. We're going to unpack that as we go forward. But strategy involves trade-offs. By the mere fact when we choose, we do more of one thing and less of another. What's in the program, what's not in the program. And what we're not going to do is just as important sometimes as what we are going to do. For example, we decide we're going to focus on a particular customer group. Say, a company decides that they are going after the baby boomers. That's big, there's a lot of money and so forth. By the mere fact that they focus on that, then they're not looking at maybe the younger Generation Y, the folks coming up behind them. So that's part of what strategy is about. In our organization, what we did was we're focused on strategic planning. We don't do business planning. It's a choice. So we focus on that, and we do that real well. So that's what strategy is about. It's about making choices around limited resources. An example that Ryan just put up here is a really, really good one. Edward Jones, all of us heard of Edward Jones, financial planning organization, financial services organization. A couple of years back, this particular quote and graphic comes from a Harvard Business Review article of April 2008, which says, "Can you say what your strategy is?" That's the title of it. Because so few executives can read, I think it's somewhere less than 15% of executives can really say what their strategy is. Well, strategy is a combination, as we see on the left side, of our competitors' offerings, what we're focused on that, our customer needs, and then our capabilities, and they all come together, and that's our sweet spot. So to explain that sweet spot is Edward Jones' strategy. We're going to grow to have 17,000 financial advisors in a certain period of time by offering convenient face-to-face financial advice to conservative individual investors. So they're going after conservative individual, they're not going after big groups and so forth, and they want to provide this is the channel, on a one-to-one financial advisor offices. So this is an example of strategy, the choices. They're doing it by individual advisors. They're not doing it through online with trying to be the cheapest $7 transaction. They're doing it through training their advisors, and they're focusing on a certain period of time. So many times what we do is in our organization, when we're working, people start saying, "Well, what's strategic? What's tactical?" And it's a legitimate question because it's really easy, quote, to get back into the weeds. So here's a kind of a summary of the difference between the two. Strategy is what we're going to do, and tactics is how we're going to do it. And that sounds like that's so easy. Another way that I explain it a lot of times is if a particular action is going to go across a couple departments, cut across a couple channels or whatever else, it's probably strategic, versus if it's focused on one particular department or lead or team or whatever else, it's probably tactical. That's probably how we're going to do it. The example down there comes from part of what we do. We work a lot with the Boy Scouts, but an organization-wide example is we're going to foster the growth of youth to be tomorrow's strong leaders. And the way we're going to do this, how we're going to do this, is develop programs. And that's what the Boy Scouts are all about, developing programs. And that's how we're going to deliver our strategy. So again, strategy cuts across, what we're going to do, and how we're going to do it that's how we're going to carry it out. Those are the things we're going to develop through our strategic plan this year and next year. So I thought it would be important to revisit, because so many times we just jump in. There's strategies, there's themes. Everybody talks about, I got 7, 8 different strategies. We're going to have a strategy about this customer. We've got a strategy about this channel, and so forth. And to help us get the focus and make those choices, we've got to probably go back to the basics. So I thought it'd be worthwhile to revisit these 3 levels, because so much time we skip over the first one. So the first one being the corporate level, and the next slide will take us in a little bit further, but the corporate level is kind of, which way we're going, what do we want to do, which way the organization is, how it's being affected by the marketplace. And then the business level is how we're going to actually carry out this C-level direction. And then many times then we have to dig into, once we get the business level, trying to deliver one of those 3, or actually there should be a 4th one, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, because most of the time we jump over that one. We're talking about the business level. We got the cost differentiation and the customer intimacy. Many organizations we work with end up by default select the 4th one, which is stuck in the middle, which means that you didn't make a choice. You're trying to do all of them, and therein lies the problem. You really don't have a business level strategy. And then the market level is how do we then deliver part of that strategy into the particular markets that we want to work with. So a quick review on the corporate level, because many times we just jump over it. We all think, well, we're just going to grow. That's what we want to do. And maybe this particular economy is more about maintaining where we are, and how can we really do that without losing ground. So that would fall into the stability aspect of it. Or sometimes it's a matter of, let's lick our wounds, and where did we lose, and what stage is our company in, and maybe we need to look at retrenchment. So what I would suggest with this is, maybe at the C level, this is the direction we're at, is let's sit down and, you can use the old BCG matrix, something like that, where we've got the horizontal axis. Boston Consulting Group puts the market share on there, our abilities, or we can take the y-axis or the vertical axis and look at the growth potentials. What are we doing? And then, if you remember, you've got the stars and the cows and whatever else, and start plotting ourselves in there and see where we really are. And that might tell us where, we may just be missing a lot of, and we may not be positioned in a proper environment to grow. We might need to have a period of stability before we can look forward. So this helps us to set the stage for what we normally think is the strategy formulation. So we're going to grow for the next period of time, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. We're going to stabilize, make sure that we got the right position, so then in the future we can kind of move forward. Or maybe we're in a life cycle of an organization that maybe we're in Detroit, for example, and the markets can be really down for a number of years. The city's tearing down buildings and whatever else, and we need just to figure out how we can turn whatever we've got into some cash or get rid of it and just get out. So those are the top level ones. So when we dig into the next level, this is one where we see many times. We kind of jump right into this level of planning, but this is based upon, we want to grow. And this chart that you've got in front of you, it comes from Porter, and it comes from a combination along with Tracy and Worsima. They wrote a book called Discipline of Market Leaders, and it's a combination of the two to give us a better perspective. But the bottom line is that how are we going to create value? How are we going to bring value to our customers? That's what strategy is about. Digging down, taking those limited resources in that marketplace we're in, and how we're going to deliver it. It's a deliberate set of choices. And again, like I said before, we do not want to get stuck in the middle. which we find many times we have organizations that don't clearly pick on one or the other one. So just to digress just a second here, to read this, and it's very simple. We look at, on the left side, on the vertical axis, so to speak, are we going after a narrow slice? Are we getting a niche, so to speak, in the market? Are we going after a broad market segment? And then across the top, on the horizontal axis, are we going to be focused on costs? Are we going to be focused on uniqueness, differentiating? So as a result of that, we end up with three different potential for strategies, and we're going to delve into those in just a second. But we got operational efficiency, product leadership, or customer intimacy. So a lot of people say, well, I need to do more than one. The point is, we have to select one to lead with, and then we've got to be good at the other ones. We can't forget about the other ones in the marketplace we're dealing with. So what we're selecting here by the operational efficiency, the product leadership, and the customer intimacy, and again, we're going to dig in those a little further. But the point is, this is how we're going to develop our competitive advantage. This is the essence of our strategy development. And what are those activities that we're going to choose that we're going to perform differently? And it's an array of activities. Just like, when we talk about Southwest Airlines, everybody's a low-cost leader, and they're really good at operational efficiency and so forth. But what they have is they have an array of interlocked activities. It's not just quick turnaround at the gate. It's not just their website that they only sell their tickets to through themselves, and it's not that they don't interline baggage, and they've got 401ks for their employees versus a regular union plan. It's an array of how interlocked and so forth. So that's how they develop their competitive advantage based upon operational efficiency. They're really good at it, and then they understand their customers well. They don't lead with it, but we know when we talk about Southwest Airlines are about operational efficiency. So it's not that we don't do the other ones, but we do understand them and use them well. So what we have to do here is match our strengths with our market opportunities and focus on one of those. So the first business level one that I want to dig into a little bit further is a customer intimacy. And we've got two slides on each one of these, and this particular slide, or the next three actually, come from, give them credit to Kaplan and Norton, from the Strategy Focus Organization. They've got a book, and this really does help you understand what customer intimacy is about. And the key word in the bold line up there is we provide the best total solution to our customers because we make a practice knowing exactly what they need. So it's a total solution. It's all about a solution, and the differentiators you can see are the orange buttons, so to speak. We really lean on service. We really lean on developing relationships deeper and deeper and deeper, and we develop a brand that becomes very, very trusted. So that's how the essence of customer intimacy. We know our customers very well. We develop that relationship deeply, and so as a result of that, we know what kind of service we provide to them. So I suppose underneath there's 4 or 5 bullet points. The one that leads to me and makes most sense is we ensure that our customers feel like we understand them by continually engaging in market research and responding to it. So the customer intimacy, one of the key pieces of these activities, interlocking activities, is making sure that we're hearing the customers, we're talking to them, we're taking that information, and we're reacting to it. And here's a little bit of a summary point of the customer intimacy. And again, these slides will be going out, but this is a good place to start when we're trying to unpack our business level strategies. Customer intimacy is about scope. We're competing on our scope, which means that we're going to probably provide everything that we can to take care of a particular segment. So in other words, we get so, quote, in bed with them, so to speak, that its switching costs are really high. So we offer them a full range of services so the customers stay. We know them well. We're ahead of them. We're not doing stuff cheap. We're not, we're definitely getting a premium. And one source of our competitive advantage in this situation to make this customer intimacy work is to empower our frontline employees to respond quickly to the customer's needs. That all of us have been in situations where we got a question, we want something done, and the person we talk to, well, I have to go talk to my supervisor. I can't make that decision. Well, a good example of empowering frontline folks is Zappos. You call them and order a pizza, everybody's heard that one, and they'll figure out how to help you get a pizza. And then the frontline person doesn't have to go talk to their supervisor to find out whether they can take care of this crazy person's on the phone and give them a pizza. So a couple examples, Amazon has customer intimacy, but it's very, very wide. And part of this segment, and all of us probably have got an Amazon account, and you go online and say, by the way, Howard, the last time you were on, you bought this book and this book, and you were looking at this. You sure you don't want to buy one? So that's a way that they help develop that relationship. Another example that I remember time and time again is Nordstrom's. They really understand the customers and go very, very deeply with it. So customer intimacy, the key to this is empowering frontline employees to respond, to make our customers feel unique, and then continued customer service and research that is foundational to this. The next of the three business level strategies is product leadership. And part of the key to the product leadership is that we're continually bringing new products to the market. We're offering new products. We're obsoleting ones we have, so we're on the cutting edge all the time. So the key word I would say in the bold lead heading there is we offer products and services that expand existing borders. We're always pushing past, pushing new ideas and getting it out there. So the key differentiators or the key points we lean on is coming to the market first, to the market timely, the orange button timely functionality. We're adding additional functions all the time. And again, we want to have the best product. People want to look to us. They know they got the best product. They know we can trust it. It's not necessarily the cheapest one. We're not suggesting that. But we've got the best product. We get it out there. We're first to the market being competitive advantage, because then we own that part of the market, and we definitely have to have a bunch of functionality in it that helps set this new product aside. Another key part of this is commercializing quickly. So we've got to be able to take an idea and be able to go back to the production, manufacturing, development, and then be able to get it off to the marketplace. So again, summary and some of the examples is this particular strategy competes on speed, being quick to the market, being ahead of everybody else, versus in the customer intimacy is we're providing a broad width of services or products for our customers. So then we've got to have great design. We have to have great execution. Part of the challenge with this is we have to educate and lead the market. That means that you have to have a fairly large marketing budget and being able to get your message out there very quick. A couple of good examples. Apple, I mean, we know about them. Nike comes out with stuff all the time. Sony, for many, many years, was always on the leading edge of bringing out new products ahead of things and so forth. So those are just some quick examples of the product leadership. Again, that competes on speed and having a great design. The third, business level. Again, now the business level strategies are driven by the 2 or 3 or 4 themes that we've got that emanate from out of our balanced scorecard into 4 perspectives. They drive growth, They drive stability or maybe re-entrenchment, and these are the ones they direct then how we're going to develop the strategy, and which then is the creation for our competitive advantage. So the third one that we've got here, but it comes from a combination of Tracy and Warsima in Porter, has to do with this low-cost provider. Operational efficiency is another term that we use here. What comes to mind so quickly, and to me anyway, is Walmart. Walmart's really good about, maintaining the price. The quality's halfway decent. They're out in the market all the time. Selection's pretty good, and people that go to Walmart are considered smart shoppers. I think all of us would agree with that. So they're offering, for example, going back to Walmart, they offer consistent quality. We know what we're going to get there. We know we're not going to get the Nordstrom experience. We know we're not going to get real high buck stuff and so forth. But the quality is decent, it's fairly good, and it's consistent. And it's easy to work with them. I mean, they're open here in Reno. They're open 24 hours a day so many times, and the parking's right in front. You can get in and get out. So the operational efficiency has to do with understanding your processes very, very well and being able to execute on them. So the buzzword in the heading there, we offer products and services that are always consistent, and I think that's in my mind, that's the key word for operational or low-cost provider. This is a summary. Again, as we all know that Walmart does definitely compete on scale, being the largest corporation in the world. They definitely have a whole bunch of resources that they can bring to bear, but they do have a really good program. They definitely keep the price low, and they continue to source new products, and their system works just extremely well. Cross stock, transfer of goods. They don't have to warehouse things one trailer to the next. They have damages that are low. They're continually measuring time to market, the cost, the overhead. They keep their efficiencies definitely in line. One example that we don't have here, when I think of operational efficiency and maintaining a particular model that they can scale and they can continue work and it's very efficient, is Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's is based upon a scale of only 700 products for a grocery store. It's not like your typical grocery store that has thousands and thousands of products. They've got a scale to their number of products that they deliver to, and they develop their own. They're very efficient at getting there. They definitely have a support culture of understanding their customers. There's no doubt about that. They don't have the lowest price, but they definitely have a very reasonable price for the goods that they do deliver. A couple other examples that we've got here. I've said Walmart. We've talked about Southwest Airlines before. McDonald's is based upon operational efficiency as well. They are all about delivering a hamburger and a couple other things. Not necessarily the best tasting ones, whatever, but they've got their system down well. They've replicated. It's scaled. It's the same thing. It goes from store to store. So they compete definitely based upon scale. Well, I'm sitting here using a Dell computer, and I think we all would attest to a different the way Dell does business. They're really good at being very efficient and having their products out the door quickly, and they maintain their price as low as they can. So again, going back, we've got the three strategies that are based upon the size of the market. Are we going after the broad market? Where are we going to niche? Or how we're going to develop our advantages? Are they going to be based upon cost? Are they going to be based upon, or efficiency? Are they going to be based upon uniqueness or differentiator? So with that, We have the customer intimacy, which is based upon a narrow marketplace, and customer intimacy typically is based upon a differentiator, understanding your customers really well, but sometimes we'll support that with efficiency. And then, so that we've got the customer intimacy, the second one being the product leadership, where we're continuing to bring in products to the marketplace all the time, to a broad section of the market. And then operational efficiency, which we just talked about here. It's a large slice of the market, and we're supported by operating efficiently, and again, And again, it's a lead of one of those three. And so we're known for something. It's not that we can, forget the other two, because in the competitive market scheme that we're in, we've got to have some kind of support for it. The other for our lead. And we do not want to have the fourth one, which is stuck in the middle, which we didn't. We do a little bit of everything and not much of anything, and nobody knows what we really stand for. And we have no way then to develop our competitive advantage. And without competitive advantage, we lose our position in the marketplace, and we're eventually become irrelevant in the long run. So those are the three operational level type strategies that are a good place to start. They are simple but profound, and they offer a good launch place to develop our operational strategies. I wanted to put another one in here. A lot of us have seen the book, The Blue Ocean Strategy, and I just bring that back to the front of us. The Blue Ocean Strategy is a combination of a bunch of different things that are going on, but the marketplace changes so rapidly. And if you go back and reread and look at this, their premises and so forth, it's that, what we take is normal today, maybe 10 or 15 years ago, didn't even exist. So why wade into the ocean where all the blood is and, compete and try to take market share from somebody else, and work on thin margins and so forth? Put your creative hat on. Where's the market going? What can we bring? What can we be first to market with? What can we develop a competitive advantage at? And be in the lead and venture into the blue space, and then have everybody else follow us and own that part of it. So it's not all of us can do it, but it's definitely it's worthy to revisit this and think about, is there something we really can change, can add to, can lead with, to find a spot in the market that the competition is not there, that the competitors are not going to undermine us very quickly, and we can own a piece of it ahead of everybody else. The note right there underneath is this graphic came out of Harvard Business Review. Without reading, you don't have to read the whole book. You can pick up that article, and it's only about 8 or 9 pages, but you can revisit that and get a real good feel about what the authors are talking about there, trying to create your own spot in the market without having to beat up on the competition. So again, that would be a business level strategy, and which would probably support or complement the other three that we just mentioned. Market level. So once we've decided on what our business level strategy is going to be, then there's another simple 2x2 matrix. It's been around before, we've seen it, but I just really want to revisit it. And it just helps us to look at when we're trying to grow and how we can best grow, given what we know internally, and we want to leverage that. So it's a simple 2x2 matrix based upon the marketplace and the products and services that we have. If we start up in the upper left-hand corner, we're dealing with our current products or services in our current markets. In theory, well, we know a bunch about that stuff. We reduce the risk of moving into that place of wanting a deeper share of our customers' wallet. So the benefit there is to take what we know, leverage that into the profile of the customers we already have. Staying in the same market area, we can take a new product, so we use our knowledge of what the customers want and develop a new product. Maybe it's just an extension. In our case, we do strategic planning, and an extension of the strategic planning could be a deeper understanding of the marketplace, and we could add, for example, customer research along with that. So that would be additional service given to the same market. We understand those customers, we know the profiles, we know how to work with them well. Bottom left-hand corner is using the knowledge of the current product and then venturing into new markets. So taking what we know about our current customers and what their needs are and try to find that in another marketplace, particularly with the world being as flat as it is. So we take that value and then replicate it into another marketplace. The greatest risk or greatest potential for not being successful is going into new markets and new products. Again, that's probably where we're talking about the blue ocean strategy. So it's the highest risk, so we definitely need to reduce risk as much as possible, do our research, understand the products we've got, and try to determine what the value is that we've got to take into that particular marketplace. So this is a quick little summary of we could spend, there's probably books written on this particular matrix, but this is a growth matrix, and it'll help us bring perspective on how we're going to develop and go into particular markets based upon whether we're going to be doing operationally efficient, customer intimate, or the third one being operationally efficient or product leadership. So now we've talked about our corporate level strategy, our business level stuff, and so where are we going to see this stuff pop up? How are we going to know that we've really got it developed? Competitive advantages. If we have to have our business level strategy developed in their competitive edge, without that we're going to have trouble. The typical strategy should be all about creating sustainable competitive advantage. We should see it within the strategic plan, the nurturing, building the competitive advantage, whether it be continual training, professional development of our team, additional R&D, but competitive advantage is key. We need to be leveraging it. We need to grow it. We need to nurture it. We can't let it get old. The next point is our strategic objectives or priorities, which we talked about initially. What are those 3 or 4, maybe 5, or the competitive objectives or strategic themes that are going to deliver our corporate level thoughts? We want to grow. How we're going to grow. We're going to take those down to the business level. If we're going to be sustainability, what are those 3, 4? What are we going to do in the marketplace? What are we going to be doing financially? What are we going to be doing with our people that drives then our business level stuff? The market and customer explanation or the value proposition, we see time and time again that the customers really don't understand their value proposition. And value proposition is why our customers buy from us. And the 75 we found, and I've read this also with Mark with Kaplan Norton, the 75% of executives don't really understand their value proposition. So this is driven by our competitive advantage, and we definitely have to understand why our customers buy from us. Again, competitive analysis and your positioning is critical. That needs to be an ongoing activity. And then what is not in the plan goes back to our choices. What markets are we going to serve? What are we not? What services are we going to provide? Strategic planning is all about creating change and making choices. So a quick checklist. Can you say what your strategy is? That's that Harvard Business Review article. Doing your strategy reviews definitely help you to keep this alive. We talked about that last month in our strategy huddle, and so when we're reviewing, looking at our strategy every quarter, and then taking deeper dives on a semi-annual basis, do we see it? Is our corporate strategy really coming alive in through growing through customer intimacy, or growing through product service leadership, or growing through low cost or efficiency aspect. So we need, our strategic plan needs to be continually have information coming from the marketplace so we can be relevant. So at this point, do we have any questions, Ryan?
We don't have any questions that anybody typed into the chat box yet, so if you have one, by all means, go ahead and type your question in there. Or if you raise your hand, we go open the phone to you and you go ask your question that way. But we did have, based upon the last month's survey, we did have somebody ask a question in response to the survey, something to address this month, and it was the role of personal accountability within strategic planning and organizational culture. So a topic they wanted to address, wasn't a specific question. Again, the role of personal accountability within strategic planning and organizational culture.
Personal accountability. Boy, I as we work with so many of our different clients, the personal accountability, what we see when we first start getting in, working with them, there seems to be very little personal stuff. We've got our corporate goals. We want to grow by 15%. We want to have operational efficiency, where we're reducing our SG&A, our overhead, by X% or whatever else. So we see the accountability up at the corporate level, but very seldom do we see it roll down to individuals through the cascading process. And developing your strategic plan and rolling it out, it will bring that personal accountability to it. And with, and I don't want to necessarily toot our horn about this, but along with MyStrategicPlan, our online system, it allows for continued change because the strategy's changing, the environment's changing. And without having a plan that continually changes or addresses the needs of the marketplace and how those personal accountability fits in there and how we can track it, it's just another dream, and it doesn't really happen. So the strategy really doesn't get carried out, so we're not really making those choices. We see so many strategic plans are these wonderful things with corporate level measures and so forth, and very seldom get cascaded down, so the personal accountability is not there. Just isn't there. So by having some way, even 2 or 3 for individuals, action items that are measurable, time-bound, the old SMART stuff that helps. That's how we move the whole plan forward. It's absolutely key.